welcome. We're going to talk about playing the blues. Musically, the blues is a couple of different things. It involves single notes. We're going to add some notes to the major scale. Some notes we're going to delete, some notes we're just going to adjust. And it also involves chords of very specific chord progression. That's 12 measures long, called the blues chord progression, 12-bar blues. You may have heard of that. First thing we're going to talk about are the blues notes. What are the blues notes? Let's talk about that first. The blues notes are the flatted third, and the flatted fifth, and the flatted seventh of the major scale. The blues scale is derived from that major scale. So if you look at your major scale, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're just going to add and adjust a couple of those notes. We're going to add the flatted third. So now the blues scale would be 1, 2, flatted third. You can still have the other third in there. Then we have fourth. Then we squeeze in that flatted fifth. Then we have the fifth, the sixth, and then we had the flatted seventh, and we take out the regular seventh. So in the blues, we never use that normal seventh, that regular seventh. Part of that is, if we do that, we lose completely the whole tonality of playing the blues. So that's why we have to keep that flatted seventh there. So let's talk about two of those specific pitches first. The flatted third and the flatted seventh. The flatted seventh is probably the most critical to get that blues sound. So if we're in the C scale, the C major scale, 1 is C, 2 is D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. That would be the major scale. Now when I add those blues notes in it, I've got C, D, I throw this E flat in there, E, F, a G flat, a G, A, B flat, and C. Now that's kind of the musical, when you're looking at a musical notation, just for you to understand what the blues notes are made up of. Now you don't have to have all of those notes in there. You don't have to completely play that, 9 or 10 note scale in order for it to work. You pick and choose, and you can add some and delete some others. Now I'm a guitar player, so all guitar players, we like the easy way out. So the easiest way we can squeeze these blues notes in, and I don't want to have to learn another scale. I want to take these scales that I already know and be able to use them and still get some mileage out of them. There's where some of the beauty comes in learning our pentatonic scales, and now we're going to kind of use them with the blues progression. Okay, so if I take like a C minor pentatonic scale, look at those notes. I've got a C, an E flat, an F, a G, and a B flat. Well, already in that scale I've got almost all of the key notes in there. I've dropped the second, I've dropped the sixth in there, but that's okay. In blues you really don't need those too much anyway. It's still good to have them in, but an easy way to get started with it is just playing the minor pentatonic form when you're doing blues. If we're in C, let's say, I would play a C minor pentatonic form with it, and that will make it sound bluesy. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if I'm playing a C minor pentatonic scale, it would be up here at the, 8th fret? Okay, just a regular C minor pentatonic. I can take it down. Okay, rigmarole, first form, minor pentatonic. Okay, now when I add it to a blues form, let's see what happens. Let's get our loop going again, and I'm going to throw this C minor pentatonic, and you can hear how it kind of fits and starts sounding bluesy. Okay, now that was basically the C minor pentatonic, and I'm getting double use out of it. I'm using it as my blues scale as well. Now, it doesn't have a couple of the notes in it, doesn't have that flat fifth in it, but basically, that's it. If I wanted to add that flatted fifth to the minor pentatonic form, I just have to squeeze that note in there. So let's take a look at that form. I've got the first pentatonic form. We said we're going to play it. Let's go back and play it in A minor, just where we were at. And so I'm going to play this in A minor, but I'm going to squeeze that flatted fifth in there. Okay, you see if you can follow along with me. Here we go. First, fourth, first. Here's that flatted fifth. That's that diamonded note. Okay, that's going to be our flatted fifth note. Keeping going through it. Here comes another one on this E flat. Okay, so if I did that fast. If I take it down. See how that flatted fifth really gives it that bluesy sound. One thing, on that flatted fifth, it's so, how should I say it, it's got so much tension in that note that you don't want to land on it for a very long time. You kind of throw it in there, speckle it in there a little bit, but you don't want to land on it. If I land on it, it's too dissonant and it doesn't work. The flatted third works well, the flatted seventh works well, the flatted fifth is a little bit so strong you don't want to really land on it too much. Use it, but just kind of sneak into it as you're using it up and down. Okay? Now that's some of the blues notes that are derived from the major scale. Let's talk about the other half of it, which is the blues chord progression. Okay? It is 12 measures long, and it goes in a very specific way. There's many different versions of it, or ways you can derive different things from it. Here it is in its most basic form. The first 4 bars are the 1 chord in any key. If I'm in C, it'd be a C chord. If I'm in F, it'd be an F chord. Next, on bar 5 and 6, I go to the 4 of whatever key I'm in. If I'm in C, I just count up the major scale, C, D, E, F, and I play the F chord for 2 bars. Got it? So I've got the 1 chord for 4 bars, the 4 chord for 2 bars, and then for the next 2 bars, I go back to the 1 chord. So I've got 4, the 1 chord, 2 with the 4 chord, then back to 2 with the 1 chord. The last 4 bars, I use the 5 chord, which in C would be the G, right? C, D, E, F, G. G is the 5th step in the scale. So I'd use the G or the 5. The next measure I'd go to 4, or in C would be an F. And then I go back to 1 for 2 bars. So it's 12 bars all put together. Let's go through it again. The first four are 1 chords. Then in bar 5, I have the 4 chord. Then in bar 7, I have the 1 chord. And then I go 5, 4, 2 bars of 1. Add that all up together, you get 12 bars, 12-bar blues. Let's listen to that example one more time and see if you can hear those chords changing between 1 and 4. Okay? Okay, here we go. Starts on a 1 chord, and we'll do this for 4 measures. Here comes the 4 chord, then back to the 1. Here comes 5, here comes 4, then back to 1. Okay, now we're in C, so I'm going to play it in C. It starts on a C chord. F chord now. C chord. G, F, C. So that's the blues chord progression in C, or a C blues. Now you've learned the notes, the blues notes that we can apply into our C scale, and we can also use our C minor pentatonic as an easy way to find those. And we've also learned the blues chord progression. Now let's take a look at some triads. Okay, welcome to the How Music Works section. In this session we're going to talk about triads. All the chords that we've learned so far are all based off of a certain type of connection and pattern with the major scale. It's called triads. A triad, in its most simplest form, is just a combination of 3 notes, hence the name triad. Okay? Now we pull these notes from the major scale. Okay? You see your C major scale there. Now the notes that we use to make chords out of those, or the triads that we're going to use for our purposes, we're going to pull and adjust the 1, the 3, and the 5. If I'm in C, that would be the C, E, and G. Okay? Now there are 4 different types of triads that you need to worry about as a guitar player. And they've got 4 different names that go with them. The major triad, its formula is built on the 1, the 3, and the 5, the 1st, 3rd, and the 5th notes pulled out of a scale, major scale. So if I'm in C, it would be a C, an E, and a G. If I'm in F, it would be an F, an A, and a C. The formula for a major triad, 1, 3, 5. The next one is minor. A minor triad is 1, flat 3, 5. I take that 3rd and I lower it a half step. So if I'm in C, it would be C, then E flat, and a G. If I'm in F, it would be F, A flat, and C. Okay? The next one is augmented. That specific triad's formula is 1, 3, sharp 5. So in C, it would be C, E, G sharp. I raise that 5th up. The next one is diminished. In diminished, the formula is 1, flat 3, flat 5. C, E flat, G flat. So we've covered 4 different types. A major triad is 1, 3, 5. A minor triad is 1, flat 3, 5. An augmented triad is 1, 3, sharp 5. And a diminished triad is 1, flat 3, flat 5. Okay, now let's take a listen to some of these triads and see if you can hear, see if we can train our ear to hear the difference between major and minor and diminished and augmented. So if I'm in C, C major triad would be C, E, and G, which would sound like this. C, E, G. Minor triad would be C, E flat, G. Here's major, here's minor. Can you hear the difference when that 3rd goes down? Augmented would be C, E, G sharp. Okay? Major and minor are the ones that we use almost all the time. Every now and then we throw in augmented, every now and then we throw in diminished, but the most significant ones you're going to run across are majors and minors. The augmented is C, E, G sharp. The last one is the diminished, would be C, E flat, G flat. Hear the difference in that? So let me go through them all. C major, C minor, C augmented, C diminished. Okay? Now they don't sound too musical put by themselves, but when you put them in a chord progression, that's when it all starts making sense. Okay, here's our assignment for this session. Your assignment is to practice the pentatonic forms with the blues notes in all of the keys, the full range of the instrument. Now I showed you the first pentatonic form back in our session, but they also, remember there's also 4 other forms, 5 of them put together with you squeezing that extra note in it. So get those underneath your fingers and be able to play them the full length of the instrument in any key. Next is memorize the blues chord progression. That's probably the easiest thing. 4 bars of 1, 2 bars of 4, 2 bars of 1, a 5, a 4, and 2 1s. That's a good thing to commit to memory. Think about it in different keys. Be able to get a handle on the different keys and the different chords that go in those different keys through that blues progression. play the blues chord progressions in the various keys from the exercises in your book. Also, practice soloing using the blues pentatonic form over the blues progressions in the jam tracks. There's lots of things for you to work on, lots of opportunities for you to practice and get better at it. So I'd encourage you to keep doing that. So I'll see you next time. Okay, for our workshop time today, let's review a couple things. Our blues notes are the flatted third, the flatted fifth, and the flatted seventh derived from that major scale. In C, the flatted third would be an E flat, the flatted fifth would be a G flat, the flatted seventh would be a B flat. Okay? Remember, we can use our minor pentatonic form to cover almost all of our blues notes and the ground in the chord progressions that we need to cover by using that minor pentatonic. So if I want to sound bluesy, let's say we're playing a blues in C, I just start playing my C minor pentatonic, and that's when it starts paying off for me. Okay, let's go through that minor pentatonic form. We're going to start it in A minor pentatonic. We're going to go through the different forms adding those blues notes. Okay, so here we are in the first position, adding the blues notes. Ready? Go. Let's go down. Let's do it one more time. Ready? Play. So let's say I wanted to play an F blues. Okay, so song comes up, it's an F, and I want to sound bluesy. I go down to my F minor pentatonic, and I can derive notes out of that scale. Let's practice that scale one time in F, slowly, and then we'll do it faster. See if we can get it underneath your fingers. Ready? Go. Okay, now a little bit faster. Ready, go. Great. Okay, now let's do it in B flat. Ready, go. Great. Now let's do it in E. Well, I can't go low. I start running out of notes, so I got to go high. Ready, go. Great. Now remember what a blues chord progression is? 4 bars of 1, 2 bars of 4, back to 1 for 2 bars, 5, 4, and then 1 for 2 bars. Okay? So if we're playing it in C, it would be like this. Now let's play, I'm going to turn the loop on again, and let's play a C, let's just do a C 7th. Okay? Go into an F 7th and a G 7th. We'll just add 7ths to all these major chords for our purposes right now. So let's do the example in C. F7, C, G7, oh, let's switch some different forms around. Let's do C7 up here. F7, C7, G7, F7, C7. Great. Okay, now we're going to do it in E, and we're going to practice the blues progression in E. You ready? Let's go. Then A7. You don't always have to have the same rhythm. It's good to vary it up. Try and find a different form to play. Okay, this time we're going to do the E blues, and I want you to solo using that minor pentatonic form over this E chord progression. I'll play the chords, but you go ahead and try and solo over the top of it. Okay? Let's try it. Just use that E minor pentatonic form. Throw those blues notes in if you want to. Good. Now, you got to remember when you're doing scales and you're trying soloing, the main thing about soloing is making music, not just going through your scales. It doesn't sound very much like music when you're just going. That doesn't make very good music. You need to take parts of those. Those are just kind of the colors that you're using. Those are the building blocks that you're building a solo out of. So try not think of it so linearly. Don't think of it as a scale. Think of it as you're just grabbing these pieces and trying to make something out of it. Okay, we're going to play it one more time. I'm going to play a phrase, and then you're going to play a phrase. See if you can play what I played right after me. Let's try it. Now you play. Let's do another one. Great. Soloing is all about getting your creative ideas and being able to make something musical out of them. I would encourage you to keep trying, keep experimenting with those jam tracks, and the different chord progressions that we have laid out for you, the more practice you get with them, the better your ear is going to be at hearing the things that you want to play and being able to translate them through your fingers. We'll see you next time.